Welcome to Literacy Champions, Fostering Futures in Chattanooga, the City of Chattanooga's Department of Early Learning's journey from 4 to 185. I thought the number, when we were looking for a title, would spark interest um, in people to know how we went from a body of 4 to a body of 185. I'm going to quickly, before we get started, introduce you to our amazing team. And this is just a few of our team, but this is our leadership team that we have here this morning. And I'll start over here to my right, your left. That is Mr. Claudius Pratt. He is the director of the AmeriCorps Senior Foster Grandparent Program. Mrs. Brittany McAdoo, she is the Department of Early Learning's Parent, Family, and Community Engagement Coordinator. Miss Akiko Bass, she is our Early Learning Business Navigator. Right here we have Miss Jennifer Paget. She is a quality specialist with our Chattanooga Head Start program, Chattanooga Early Head Start program. This young lady that's eager, of course, is Miss Jacqueline Thomas. She is the director of the Community Forward program. And right here we have Miss Jaleesa Brumfield. She is the director of the Office of Early Learning. And I am Caritza Jones. I am the administrator for the Department of Early Learning. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so really quickly, we're gonna get started and talk about our foundational purpose and growth journey. I want to tell you a quick history lesson. I'm gonna give you a very quick history lesson of the city of Chattanooga and its engagement in education. So, the city of Chattanooga, for years upon years, has always been involved in education in a variety of ways. We have held the Chattanooga Head Start, Early Head Start grants. We have been a grantee for over 50 plus years. In addition to doing that, we've also taken dipped our toes, I shouldn't say, or we waded in waters as in our early years, they had a city child care. And then there's also been a body of work for a very long time until the early 90s where the city of Chattanooga itself was a legal education authority. We are no longer a legal education authority and have not been since a referendum in the early 90s. We are now just a county school system, but for years, pre-segregation, pre-integration, all the way to the early 90s, there was a city of Chattanooga public school system and there was a Hamilton County public school system. When the referendum went out in the early 90s, they went out of the education business per se as an LEA, but continued to do that body of work, sustaining Head Start and the child care piece, right? In 2017, under the Burke administration, our fabulous mayor, Andy Burke, if anybody has ever heard of our former mayor, Andy Burke, he said, hey, no, we're not an LEA, but there is still work to be done. And this is right at probably premature to the cusp of everybody was focused on prenatal to 3 supports. And so at that time, he created what we like to call one of the babies of his administration, the Office of Early Learning, and it's set under what the department that he called Youth and Family Development, in which he took several current, at that time, city departments that supported youth and family development and made them a department. So Parks and Recreation, Community Development, Parks and Recreation, Social Services, Head Start, foster grandparent, and he put them under an umbrella of youth and family development and then created the Office of Early Learning. In 2017, he hired a director, Mrs. Ariel Ford, as our director, and then in 2018, here came the fabulous 4. So that was Ariel, myself, I was a Pritzker Fellow because it's a newly developed office, so they're looking for funding, right? And then there were funded positions, which Jaleesa Brumfield said in that one of the initial inaugural roles of the Office of Early Learning, she was our parent and family community engagement specialist. And then there was Miss Angela Hayes. She was our early learning business navigator. And we've also, I shouldn't say a party, we really were a party of 5. We have an amazing executive assistant, Mrs. Janice Williamson. She's not with us, but Ms. Janice has been a part of the work of the Office of Early Learning since 2017. And so that was the Office of Early Learning. Did great work. A lot of inaugural piloting we did during 2017 to 2020. Yeah, because even through COVID, 2020. Mayor Kelly was elected in 2021, and because of the great work that we were doing, and I will say this, when the mayor's candidates were campaigning, they all campaigned on early learning, but Mayor Kelly was very heavily, as a candidate, invested in early learning. And so when he was elected as our mayor in 2021, he created the Department of Early Learning, and when he did that, it encompassed, he took, again, various departments, because they split out in various administrations, but he kept the Office of Early Learning, foster grandparents, Head Start and Early Head Start together. And then he created a baby for his administration, which we call the Community Forward Program, which is a unique partnership between the city of Chattanooga and Hamilton County Schools, in which we are a lead partner agency for a community schools model in our public school system. We employ 8 community forward coordinators, and they work in 8 schools within the city limits that are high needs, high risk, high priority in efforts to alleviate academic barriers. So that is a little bit about the history. That's a brief history lesson on how we've evolved into the Department of Early Learning at the city. Our mission is to help Chattanooga's children receive the best possible start in life by increasing their access to high quality early learning experiences that shape their future. Our vision is that we lead the movement in high quality education where every child in Chattanooga is prepared to thrive and succeed. And our pledge is dedicated to the safe and healthy development of our city's most valuable asset, our children. We strengthen early foundations for little learners and lead sustainable efforts to aid them through their education journey. And so, hence the journey of 4 to 185. And the 185 is because in taking the entire body of the 4 divisions that we have in our department, when you add up every person that does the work to support our most valuable asset in the city, we went from an office of 4 to a department of 185, and it will continue to grow from there. So that's how we became from 4 to 185, and they are a powerful force. We have a lot of personalities, a lot of brain power, I bet if we were to put our years of experience together, we'd probably be older than America. Because we have we just have a lot of experience in the department, and so we're very grateful for that. And what we have always focused on, be it prenatal to 3 work or even as far back as 50 years ago with Head Start, is to ensure that our children have the early literacy skills that they need to go into our public school systems and to be ready. And so when you look at you heard our mission, you heard our vision. At the heart of our mission is our commitment to empowering children through literacy, fostering a culture that values education and growth. Our journey has transformed us, of course, like I said, from a small team to a robust community of 185 dedicated members. And right here, we just kind of show how, throughout our entire mission, how we take pieces of that and how it's focused at literacy. So we want to make sure that every child thrives through accessible literacy programs, that our vision is that we envision a community where literacy is central to every child's future success, and our pledge is that is to advocate for equitable literacy opportunities for all children in Chattanooga. And before I go on, I just want to say, if you see a couple words here, so you hear that we want to ensure that every child thrives, that we want to ensure that every child has future successes, that we want to make sure that there are equitable literacy opportunities for all children in Chattanooga. And that is because our Mayor Kelly in the current administration has a One Chattanooga plan. If you all have the opportunity to you just bored one night or bored somewhere, Google One Chattanooga, the One Chattanooga plan. When you Google that plan, you will see how Mayor Kelly, from day one of his office, and he's now recently been elected to his 2nd term, that plan is to ensure that there is one Chattanooga. We historically have a tale of 2 cities. The river, mountains divide us. But Mayor Kelly has been working very hard and empowers us and supports us in our work to work very hard to change that, to make sure that people understand if you are a Chattanoogan, Chattanooga is for everyone, and every resource and every asset, anything that's in Chattanooga is for all. And of course, when you Google that plan, early learning is the first goal of that plan with 5 priorities. And so that speaks a lot to why he feels like early learning is important, because in trying to change that trajectory, you have to start with the future generations. So I wanted to make sure that I pointed that out. What does a literacy champion entail? To us, a literacy champion embodies the commitment to literacy among various roles, including educators and policymakers, fostering an inclusive environment that promotes reading and writing for all children in Chattanooga. Educators, they inspire and equip students with essential literacy skills through engaging instruction. I'm going to stop right there at that first one because when we look at educators in the Department of Early Learning, we look at our child care providers, be that in a licensed child care facility, be that in a non-regulated facility, be that as a family, friend, and neighbor provider, be that as a certified teacher in our public school system, or parochial system, or private system. Anybody that has taken the time to pour into a life of a child and all efforts to ensure that they're getting what they need to be prepared, we view them as an educator in that child's life. Administrators, these people, they create supportive policies that enhance literacy programs and resources. Want to speak to that a little bit because when you look at that, every role, every day, it's integrated into every responsibility of any adult that's in the life of a child, right? And so we talked about educators and how they create their environments, the rich environments for learning. Administrators who provide support in literacy and curriculum, professional development, and resource allocation. And that means business leaders, that means your policymakers. I put in here elected officials, your faith-based leaders, and your nonprofit world, because a lot of people don't realize what we've learned in our journey is that people don't realize that they are a stakeholder to early learning, whether they know it or not. And we try to show them why and how they are stakeholders in their body of work. And then we talk about outreach and family engagement. We empower parents because they are educators in the lives of their children. We empower them to be their first teacher and provide home literacy resources in the home and to access the literacy resources that are in our community, be it through our public library, be it through the community centers, churches, anywhere that parents can find support for literacy supports. We want to make sure that they know they have those resources because if they don't know how, there's somebody to help them learn how. And then lastly, once again, I want to talk about the policy advocates. We in our department, although we are city government and we don't lobby per se, we have somebody that does that up in the mayor's office. We do kind of lobby in our own way, I hate to say that, because we're very vocal in advocating for what we believe in, championing legislation that we can get and funding in place for supports that we need. I don't know how many of you all, because y'all heard we say we have Head Start here and foster grandparents. We right now have been championing Head Start a lot. Early Head Start. We have been championing our foster grandparent program because we need the funding for those programs. And now that they're in the big, beautiful bill, we need them to cut the check that we're waiting on them to cut because they're just, yeah, we're going to give you the money, but then they're just going to hold the funds, right? So that is a big piece there. And so when we think about that, we embed literacy thinking into every decision and interaction that we do in our department, and it's driven by our pledge and our mission and our vision. Okay, so this is what I'm calling. Did I go past the slide? Oh, wait a minute. I'm going too far. Oh, that's where we were. Okay. All right, so this is what I've been calling the meat of our presentation. And so we talk about here, excuse me, we talk about here the various initiatives that we use to actively promote literacy and foster a love for reading in Chattanooga's children and families. And so I am going to take a seat back and allow the people that do this work on a daily basis, an hourly basis, a weekly basis. Although we're exempt, they do this a whole lot, so I don't even know how to, they work a lot around the clock to talk about the work that they do as it relates to promoting literacy in our community and how they best support our families and children. So we'll start with Basics Chattanooga.
All right, I'm going to step back so you guys can still see the presentation. So again, I am Brittany McAdoo, and I am the Parent, Family, and Community Engagement Coordinator for the Department of Early Learning. And so I came on board as a Community Forward Coordinator and then was put into this position, right? And so when I came on, I asked Caritza what was one of the things that she wanted me to work on. And so the first thing she was like, hey, we have taken on Basics Chattanooga, and I would like for that to get out. Do you know what that is? And so I'm a mom and I have two kids. And so it was a program that was in our city that I knew nothing about. And I'm an active mom, so I'm always engaged in things in the community. And I was like, Caritza, I've never heard of this before. And so it went dormant for a while, and we picked it up. And when I picked it up, Caritza was like, well, set a goal. And so the goal was to reach, I want to say like 500 families. I exceeded that goal. We reached like 5,000 families that year with Basics Chattanooga. So that was like a high achievement. But it is 5 basic things that you should do with your kids. And it's not just parents, it's caregivers, it's friends, it's neighbors. It's fun. Anybody can use the 5 basics to best prepare the kids for kindergarten. So you have a little bookmark that you can use, and it has the 5 basics on there. So there is maximize love and manage stress, talk, sing, and point, count, group, and compare, explore through movement and play, and read and discuss stories. So, in order for me to reach that number and meet so many people and to get the data back on it, I said to myself, where would I be? Where, if I was a parent, where would I find this information? So, I teamed up with our children's library. Lee is in here in the back. And so, I met with her one day, and she was like, hey, the basics was cool. We love it. We have some flyers here, but there's not much moving with it. So, I went with her, and I would do every Thursday in the month of February. So there were 5 Thursdays, and I would come during our toddler time to meet parents and introduce them to the basics. And then our numbers just went up on the website. So that was pretty cool. And then I teamed up with our children's hospital, and I'll talk more about that in a little bit. And I was like, hey, she was doing a program, I'm doing this. I was like, how about we team up and we create an event where parents can come out? We thought we might have would have, 200 people come out. We had like 800 families that day. So it was super cool. People to come out to learn about keeping their kids safe and healthy, but to also learn about the basics. There has been tons of things I've reached out with the community for coordinators at their schools. So anywhere I see a fit or a need, Jaleesa and I teamed up on a program, and we had a chef with a local food truck, and we did the oatmeal experience, and it was basics. And so there were 5 basics, and the kids would come and they would make a different oatmeal, and that oatmeal was on the truck, and it was an OEL oatmeal named after the Office of Early Learning. And so it was cool, just different things that you think of that are unique, that your kids are doing, and that way you can push the basics through. And so if you ever get a chance, go look at our website. All of the information is on here, ChattanoogaBasics.org, and it just has a toolkit on there that you can use, and you don't have to be a Chattanooga citizen to use it, but there's a toolkit that has tips and things that you can do on there with families. So anyway I see fit, I have a couple of cool things that are happening, but we'll talk about that later, how Basics has grown and what that looks like with other partnerships.
Just to speak to Basics Chattanooga, Chattanooga was one of the first affiliates of the Boston Basics. This is derived from the Boston Basics. And Boston is always on the cutting edge of education, one of the top public school systems in the country. And so this was derived from that, and it came to our United Way, and then funding, of course, became an issue. But through Early Matters, which is a coalition that we have, we did not want basics to die, and so we began to house basics, and so that's how. But I just wanted to share that because, and we have to follow. We're an affiliate of them, a licensed affiliate. We follow everything that they require us to do in that. But basics is a powerful moment.
Hi, you guys. How much time do we have? Oh, okay. I have about 5 minutes. Okay. I do this really funny thing of writing notes down and then don't follow it, and then I speak for 30 minutes. Okay, so I am Jaleesa Brumfield, Director of Early Learning for the City of Chattanooga, and I think one of a super special and important thing that we do or have been doing or about to start doing is we received the GELF grant to create a book bus. But me being me, I am very extra, and I can't just stop at the minimum. So I put a very unique spin on it, if you could, yeah. So what this book bus is, it's very collaborative. It is a triple impact bus. So it is a mobile library. It is a mobile safe space, and it's also a mobile family resource center for kids. I mean, for families. And Caritza mentioned earlier about the One Chattanooga plan, but like this bus literally embodies the entire plan to bring equity to people. That's really what Mayor Kelly is about, bringing equity to neighborhoods, families, communities, and that's exactly what this bus will do. So we are going to partner with the health department, with DHS to do Smart Step Days, just anything that can help the families in that moment. Also, with the safe space, so I served on it is a innovation track to reduce youth gun violence in Chattanooga. So the whole safe space thing is very dear to my heart because for 2 years I was able to walk with a group of people to create a program now where they have some, I'm not going to talk about their stuff, sorry. See how I ramble? Let me get back up. You see, I was about to go all the way over there.
It was a Harvard, it was a Bloomberg project through the city.
Yes. Okay, so the point of, no, that was it, sorry. So the point of me joining that Bloomberg track was to really highlight the importance of literacy, not only just in the earlier years, but as they go into middle school, high school, because it's very important for job applications, for driver's license, things like that. So the bus, I'm sorry that I don't have more pictures, but the bus does have, yes, I do. So the bus has a basketball rim on the back, so whenever I go to neighborhoods, kids can play basketball. There's also a TV and an Xbox on the bus, and then there's bookshelves. It's super colorful. There's 2 desks. I was very intentional about who I collaborated with to create the bus because, I mean, if the bus was going to be for the community, it had to be built by the community. So I used, I think, all but one minority small-owned businesses to build the bus out, which I'm proud of that. Let's see, what else? I have not said anything on this list, but that is okay. Let's see. Yeah, and then so just a little bit about the Office of Early Learning. So we, Aikiko and myself, we are Office of Two. I haven't given us a name yet, but we're going to think of something. Thelma and Louise. There we go. So we work under 3 main pillars, which is to support families and parents, caregivers. We support communities, and then we also support child care providers. One thing that Mayor Burke he's always going to be special to me because he said yes to me. And honestly, I had no real background in early childhood. I just was a girl with a public health degree, and it kind of went from there. But he seen early childhood as an everyone problem. And I'll never forget one day we sat in a room and he was like, well, if kids can't read, how are we going to grow the economy? And I was like, oh my God, so just that level of thinking is what really got me here. But I'm going to stop talking and I am going to let Aikiko, I'll tell you guys more about some of the other programs that we do in the Office of Early Learning, but that is one of the most literacy-focused projects that we do. But Aikiko, who is the business navigator, works hand in hand. Is my time up? See? You see? Aikiko.
And she's taking my time now. I want my time, right? And Akiko Bass, Early Learning Business Navigator. And so I won't ramble, and because I have brain farts, because I'm one of the oldest up here, I have my notes, and I'm going to go by those. So I work with our local child care providers. I support them in expanding seats and also with enhancing the quality of their programs. So when I got here in 2022, Jaleesa kept saying, Akiko, what do you want to do? I'm like, I don't know. What you got to have, what do you want to do? So I was thinking, what is really near and dear to my heart? I've been in childcare for over 30 years. I was, for 20 years, I was an executive director of a nonprofit childcare with multiple sites that I was responsible for. So I wanted to focus on literacy, right? That 3rd grade retention law was coming out, and I knew that we had children in our cities in our city that could not read. And I knew that they were going to be held back if they could not read by the third grade. So I said, Jaleesa, let's focus on literacy. So we started doing hosting a literacy conference, right? Our OEL, Early Educators Literacy Conference. Y'all, let me tell you something. I was proud of me. I was so proud of me because I was terrified, but we did it for the last 2 years, and amazing, amazing. We got Corey Collins from the Ron Clark Academy. If you don't know about Ron Clark, I want you to Google Ron Clark because Ron Clark is just all of that. But Corey Collins came and he was our keynote speaker. But we also had, I didn't just want to bring in somebody from the outside. I wanted to bring in our good people from the inside. Lee Hope, would you please stand up? Lee Hope, please stand up. Lee Hope is she's the librarian. Assistant Director of Youth Services at the library. She is the downtown library of Chattanooga. And Lee Hope is amazing. She presents at our conference every year. So we do this conference. It's a 6-hour conference because our local child care providers have to have, I think, anywhere from 20 to 30 hours a year. Required hours by licensing. 6 of those have to be literacy on literacy. So we thought, you know what? Let us provide that. Let us provide that, and we're going to provide that in one setting. We're going to get our local folks. We might get somebody outside. We might not. We just want to get the job done, and for them to get the training that they need, that they can take back into the classroom, right? And that they can teach these children, because we should be teaching reading in utero while the children are in our bellies, not waiting until they're in pre-K and 3, 4, and 5. But even in those infant classes, infants 1, 2s, and 3s, talking, singing, all the things that Brittany mentioned with the Chattanooga Basics. But that's one thing that we did. Not only at this conference did they get those 6 hours, they also got $500 worth of literacy materials. Not books. They got $300 worth of books. $500 worth of literacy materials that they can use in their classrooms. Also, I worked with a cohort of about 19 for the last 2 years. We also awarded them, I called it a grant, but we ended up in the principal's office, almost in the mayor's office, by calling it a grant. So it wasn't a grant, it was an award. We awarded them a literacy award where we worked with Kaplan. Kaplan actually created me a website, a personal website for OEL that they could go. I don't know what they need in their classrooms, right? And I got to buy all the things for the conference. I wanted them to be able to go onto the website and get what they needed, if they needed this in the infant class or this in the toddler class or this. So we were able to do that. Got $1,000 per site. Let's see. Creative curriculum. So anybody know about the creative curriculum? Yes? Okay, use that. So not only does our providers use the creative curriculum, but we provide that. And if you all know, that curriculum is very expensive. I almost got written up one time when I first got here about that curriculum because I gave out too many curriculums. I gave like one site like 1,000 curriculums. They were like, you go back and get that curriculum. And yeah, so I was like, oh yeah. I said, I'm new. Give me grace. But yes, so we provide the curriculum and provide the training, and also the Brigance screening to anybody. So the Brigance, you know how expensive that is. We provide the Brigance screening tool, and we provided the training. We got the trainers actually from the creative curriculum, actually from the Brigance, to come in and do those trainings. So those are the things that we are doing in the Office of Early Learning and in the Department of Early Learning to ensure that our most valuable, these little kids, they're going to be holding the mic one day in our positions, right? They're going to be the doctors, the lawyers, the teachers, and all of that. So we want to make sure that we are doing everything that we can to ensure that they are prepared. So thank you. Thank you. Round of applause. Thank you. Okay. I'm also an actor too, so.
And since I'm Jennifer Paget and I'm with Chattanooga Head Start, and since she was talking about the Brigance and creative curriculum, that is the curriculum that we use at Head Start. We currently just purchased the infant curriculum, and we also have the online curriculum, which is great for literacy because it has all the tools and everything you need. It has help sites and everything on there for the teachers, to expand their knowledge. But I've been with Head Start now for almost 22 years. And I started out as a parent, so I know the impact that the program has on families and communities because I was that family, I was that community. Some of the things that we have implemented, though, to help push our literacy piece, of course, like she said, creative curriculum, but we have adopted the LENA curriculum. And if you don't know does anybody know anything about LENA? I saw their table. LENA is great, okay? We have certified coaches through LENA, and they go in with the teachers. They give them a coaching session. They go through it, and LENA measures the back and forth conversations that the teachers are having with the children. So when we go back in to talk to the teachers about those things, we can highlight the times a day that, they had a lot of conversation, or sometimes they didn't. Those things help. We also partner with many community partners, Creative Discovery Museum, Wolf Trap, which is through UTC, who come in and they aid our teachers, give them knowledge. We have what we call a reading rally. And this reading rally is something that we do. We partner with a lot of people throughout the community. They come in. It's a big day. I mean, at one of our sites, we even have horses. They bring in horses. They bring in chickens. They bring in rabbits. Whatever their specialty is, they bring it in for the children. The children are given money, play money, and allowed to go shop for their books. And then we have community leaders come in. They read to our children. And that we just make a fun day out of it. Parents come in, they volunteer. We have parent committee meetings. We have parent meetings monthly. And we actually have some of our teachers who will come in and do these parent meetings and focus on the different domains and show the parents how to actually implement these things at home, which is great because the community that we serve, sometimes they do not get those things. And so we're educating the parents, we're educating the children, we're educating the families as a whole. And like she said, the Head Start program has been around for a long time, and I hope that we're here for a little bit longer. Claudius.
And so the Office of Early Learning, because we do this, my point is that we wanted to align everything that we do with Hamilton County Schools in Head Start. So because Head Start was using it, that was the assessment or screener that we used to give our providers. So it all lines up, and we're pushing the kids closer to the start line as possible.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Claudius. I'm the director of the Foster Grandparent Program. And let me first of all ask this question. How many of you are familiar with the Foster Grandparent Program? Okay, see, not too many people. First of all, when I mention the Foster Grandparent Program, a lot of people will say to me, I'm not interested in having a child brought into my home. Because they kind of think it's about fostering children. But this is actually about seniors that are 55 years or older. And what they do, they go into the classroom to assist teachers with children that may have challenges with literacy, math, and social emotional. And so they go in like a grandparent, and a lot of the children call them granny or grandpa, because we do have some male that do this services as well. And the part that we play in it, working with all of these, even with Head Start and the other child care learning facilities, is they are assigned to these sites to go and work. Now, as an older person, as you get older, you're like, okay, I don't have free time to do free things. So what we do, this allows someone to have a sense of purpose, because as you get older and you retire and you sit at home, back in 2019, the Centers for National Community Services, CNCS, did a study, and they showed that seniors that have retired, that sit at home and don't do anything, because you can travel for a while, after that you get tired, but your health begin to decline. So they found that if you stay active, so this is a way of them staying active. And not only that, they get paid a stipend amount, which no taxes are taken out of that. They also get paid mileage from their home to the site that they serve. And this also allows them to pour into the lives of the children that they serve, to even mentor them and to help them with their social, emotional challenges, and also help them with literacy and math. And so that is how the foster grandparent program plays a part in working with the Chattanooga One process. And we also hope that we stay around for years to come.
Okay, y'all was waiting on me and I know it. I'm Jackie Thomas. I am the director of Community Forward. And I was like, what's Community Forward? Well, Community Forward is an initiative that was actually started by our new mayor, the mayor of Chattanooga and the Hamilton County School System. It is a partnership, and it's really community schools. And what we do, we were hired, our mayor, current mayor, put in 8 coordinators into each school as employees to work for the city, however they're in the school, to provide academic and non-academic barriers, to remove those barriers from the families in mostly our midtown schools, which are our city schools. As Carissa gave you the history of Chattanooga, we no longer have city schools. Just like Memphis, they no longer have city schools, so they don't have a legal obligation to provide anything in regards to children and their education. However, the Community Forward coordinators, as I said, we are coming in, as everybody has said, about the impact that they all make in the city when it comes to literacy. What we do is we've come in, we've had to start at home. And the Department of Early Learning is our home for Community Forward. And so what we do is we try to support home first, like you would do anywhere. And when you talk about the Mayor's One Chattanooga plan, we clearly understand it on this team what that looks like. And for me and for Community Forward, our team, what that looks like for us is that we're going to know what Brittany's doing. If Brittany is having something for basics, we're going to support Brittany, whether we're partnering with Brittany or not. If Jaleesa and them are having something from Office of Early Learning, we're going to support that. We're going to make sure that our schools know about it, that the 8 schools that we're in, they know about that resource, that you can come here and get this particular resources. We're going to tell them about Head Start, what that looks like for them. If they can't, children that have smaller children that they can qualify for Head Start, take them over to Head Start, apply. We're going to talk about Jaleesa's them open seats. We're going to talk about all the resources that are in the community, and we're going to try to bring all of those resources to the community, to people and families in our schools, and also throughout our communities. And so that's the unique thing about all of us. When we began to work in Chattanooga, we are family-focused, holistic approach from all areas. And one of the things I think for me coming in, and this is my second year, going on second year, coming in, one of the unique partnerships that I enjoy, that we have enjoyed this year, of course, we are tasked with trying to reduce chronic absenteeism, trying to academic improvement, trying to change behaviors, within the school, just trying to also do more of parental engagement, because if you know our schools in the Midtown area, we lack that area. So that is something that we have strived to try to improve. So how do we do that? What do we have going on that we can currently enhance parental engagement? And so one of the things, as I said, has been the basics. Brittany has so many different unique programs that she has and that she provides to the city that she didn't talk about, but they're really great. But one of those things that we had to do was look at the data. Everybody based everything on data. No matter what, you got to have some data. If you're not doing data, hey, you know you're going to cease to exist pretty soon. So in saying that, we were like, how do we bring people to understand data? Because if I get up here and show you a lot of numbers, you're not going to really understand, you're really not going to care. It's just going to be some more numbers. But what we had to look at is how do we engage our parents to become more engaged in their child's school? If we're doing community school, the school is supposed to be the hub. So how do I get them into this school? There has to be a lot of different barriers. Of course, there's going to be because we don't own the schools. We're just placed there. But one of the things that we have done is data. And to most people, it's numbers. But how do we, like I said, how do we get the parents engaged? Well, we get them engaged by allowing them to realize that you are our data. And the way we've done that is to say, data, dads are the answer, the anchor and answer. So we have focused on, if you know me too, you'll know we focus on we're focusing on fathers. How do we bring these fathers into these schools to become actively engaged in their children's lives? Most dads always think that's the mom. Our mom can go to the school. We don't want mom to go to the school. We're calling all dads to their responsibility through our data. And that's what it stands for, because if you know family, fathers are the anchor. The dads are the anchor of that family. They strengthen that family. And for those children, we understand that there are families that don't have dads in them. Then we create those mentors. We create those dads for them. So we partnered with Brittany. This was our first year. We took 10 elementary kids from three of our elementary schools. And what we did, we created with her literacy program to help dads teach their kids to read and help their kids read, to strengthen their reading. And what we found was that there were a lot of dads that are interested in being a part of their children's lives, whether they wanted to be their outing for their weekend, whether they just got the weekend visits, or whether they're in the home. But the books were very unique to the child. We wanted them to be able to relate to them. So we got local children authors. Most of them were African-American men. And what they did, we had one that said, Dad's cooking for me. He was a chef. He's a private business owner. And he came in, and what he did, we put experience with the books. And we allowed those children to learn how to cook, what that looked like, all the preparation that it took, all of that. We have a firefighter. He wrote a book. And what do? We had him because he talks about safety. Where do you go when you leave your home? And when there's a fire, where do you meet? And so he brought it in. We had that at the fire station. So we had all of these different things to relate to the various books at the various locations where they met. And when we had the final celebration, with that, going back to that one Chattanooga with our partner, Ms. Lee, at the library, where we had children come, and the celebration was, we want you to continue to read. Of course, we want you to know what's there in the library as well. But we also gave them the little nooks, is that what they call it? Kindles, I'm sorry, little Kindle books, so that they could download. But you know the kids, can we put a game on this? Can we put a game? But I think what we had to start doing was thinking of unique ways that we can partner with our families to get them in the doors. And most of all, we really wanted to focus on dads, because if you read the data, it says that the more fathers are actively engaged, behavior goes down, they come to school, they tend to do better. And so that's what we wanted to do, and that's what we are doing now, hoping to expand that to our other elementary and just to increase it and enhance what we're doing. As I said, we start at home, and we work great as a team to enhance the Department of Early Learning.
So to make sure that we're staying on, touching everything, we wanted to talk a little bit more about some other things that we do. So we're not going to be able to go into them, and I'm going to make this disclaimer now. Y'all heard a lot of names, slogans. Don't steal our stuff. What I mean by that is, I'm a very big proponent of protecting your intellectual property. Very big proponent of that. Don't mind finding evidence, research-based things, pivoting them, making them fit for your area, because we do have a body of work, Chatter Baby, that is derived from Bluff City Baby. So, but we work with Bluff City Baby's staff. I mean, they knew we were coming. We just didn't, there was a thing. But I want to say that because a lot of our staff work very, very hard, and these are their personal ideas that they bring. And I always have to tell them, now that you done brought it to the city, it belongs to the city. sadly enough, but they're okay with that because it's touching people, but I wanted to share that. But there are a few other things that we do that we can't talk about. We don't have the time here, but I will tell you what offices they're from, and you can catch those people out in the hallways to talk about that. But Jaleesa also does a program called Early and Often. You can touch base with her about that. It's a case management piece that she's touched with resources. Brittany, we talked about some signature events of the department. Basics is one of those. We also have a lit brunch, very unique idea. We partner with the Parks and Outdoors department at the city to do that in one of our local parks that maybe you visited, Coolidge Park downtown with the big water fountain. So we do that there. There's also the Fun Fair Fest, which Brittany talked about. That is a partnership with Children's Hospital at Erlanger. That is our level 1 trauma hospital, only regional hospital in Chattanooga, so the area for children. So we partner there for Fun Fair, and then there's also a Not So Basic Adventure pilot that began this summer where she and another young lady, Mylisha Carter, Brittany and Mylisha, through Parks and Outdoors, have partnered with 2 local summer camps to give them experiences throughout the city of Chattanooga in parks and outdoor spaces that they probably have not been exposed to. It exposes them to basics, and it also exposes them to literacy. So just wanted to share those with you as well. And then there really is a plethora of things we do that we just probably don't even realize that we're doing beyond just what we do there. That's the bus again. And lessons learned and overcoming challenges. So really want to talk about what's worked for us and what has been hard. And so what's worked for us is the power of collaboration. Y'all probably heard them all speak about how they partner, and they partner with any and everybody that can be of positive impact for their bodies of work. And I say that because they build strong, they have and continue to build strong networks with diverse partners. That means your businesses, they talked about the small businesses that they support, minority businesses. That is all, when y'all read One Chattanooga, you're gonna see all those little pieces plug in together. They know I preach One Chattanooga. How does that relate to the One Chattanooga plan? Trying to keep our jobs, keep our mayor in office, but also keeping the work going. But they do that. They partner with one another. They partner with other city departments. They partner with other entities throughout the department. So that has worked for us, building those networks, those relationships. Jaleesa's daddy helped with a situation one time. Just being able to fix a car, right? So anybody becomes a resource to us, and we don't mind using them. Investing in people. We prioritize professional development and ongoing support for not only just our educators, the providers, and the volunteers that we work with, but for the team here, our staff. We really prioritize making sure that people have that our team has exposure. I feel like I'm standing in front of them. That our team and those that we work with have exposure to the most recent cutting edge things, so that we're always staying on the cutting edge. We're always doing that as we work to continue to become an investment ready model. Data-informed decisions. You heard what Jackie said about data, so say less. Everybody knows that whether we like it or not, the numbers is what makes the funding and the world go round. So we try to figure out what that looks like. And once again, just from a city leadership standpoint, we do that through Monday.com planning. We do that through monthly. I have to, as an administrator, report out monthly leadership cabinet for the mayor where we are with certain goals and data that we're looking and seeking for. And then flexibility and adaptability. What is my favorite word, y'all? What I like to say? They hate it. Y'all see how they said it? If I worked in government forever, if I have not learned anything else, I know to be successful and keep your sanity in working for government, you better be able to pivot. Every minute, every second, every hour, every day, every millisecond, you better be able to. We walk out of here and have to pivot. They better be able to pivot. Doesn't change what you're trying to do, just change how you're going to get there. And so that's a big thing that we've learned, flexibility and adaptability, being willing to pivot to still meet the needs of the community. Now, what has been hard for us is scaling. Y'all heard all these great ideas. I love my team dearly. They are very advantageous, very, very advantageous. But sometimes we just don't have the money. Sometimes we just don't have the time. Y'all heard Jaleesa say her office, which was an office of 4, is now an office of 2. And y'all heard everything that they do with the help of all their network. But we have learned that you have to scale. I often tell them, that's great, that's great. How can you sustain that? How are you going to sustain it? That's great, that's great. What manpower are you going to need with that? That's great, that's great. What does the funding impact look like? Great idea. How are you going to do that? I have a lot of questions. We always, once again, flexibility in people, we make it there. But we've learned how to scale, and I tell them we can do a whole lot of things subpar, or we can do a few things in excellence. And so that's what we've learned. And that's been hard, though, because their brains are always turning. So we did a 5-year plan, we're working on a 5-year strategic plan. So they'll be able to do everything they want to do, just panning it out in 5 years and not in 6 months. Securing sustainable funding, right? Jaleesa, once again, and she probably like a Jaleesa will write a grant in a minute, i.e. the book bus. She'll write a grant in a minute. Jaleesa just want the money. Just show me the money. And I'll say, Jaleesa, she has a baby closet. How are we going to sustain that? Well, now guess how we sustain that? Now it's a line item in my budget. Because Jaleesa wrote a grant in her budget, through my budget, I should say, because Jaleesa wrote a grant. But it was a one-time grant, and boy, did she stock it up with that one-time grant. But now we got to, because everybody knows about the baby closet through all of the outlets, now we have to keep it stocked. So she just did a major haul the other day, come wheeling through there with all these Walmart bags and Sam stuff. But it's a line item in our budget. That has been hard for us because when it's working, we want to sustain it. Engaging every family sometimes has been hard because Chattanooga is a melting pot. And so while we know that there are certain areas, and it is what it is, where they have those deficits, being able to meet the areas with the highest need, but not forgetting about the other areas, right? That's been hard. So as we go into this year in FY26, we have to look at some of those areas that may not have gotten as much attention from DEL as normal, while sustaining those that need our attention. And lastly, maintaining momentum, resilience through setbacks and administrative hurdles. Because I tell my team all the time this too. We're going to do good work no matter who's the mayor. We're going to do good work if I'm not administrator. Just do good work. Good work sustains itself. And so that's the big piece that it's just making sure that we maintain that momentum. I want to encourage you to start small, dream big, build relationships. That's paramount. Empower your workforce. They have an idea, don't kill it. Just help them figure out how to best execute it with what you have. And I want you to identify your champions. We want you to identify your champions. Who are the people in your team, in your agency that can help you bring these things? Like, who are the people in the community that can be that voice and help you to do that? Assess your needs. I'm a social worker. Several of us have social work, public health background, so we all about a needs assessment, a feasibility study. We're going to see if it's working. If the work is working, evidence, research-based idea, we just going to go ahead and go with that. So really doing that. Build your coalition. Start one initiative at a time and share your story. Be able to document your journey to inspire others. Jaleesa with the book bus, Brittany with several of them, Jackie, they have, Claudius as well, and I know Head Start does. She did a really big documentary for the book bus. Like, she shows you what it looks like as a shell of a bus that came from a Head Start donation to now what it looks like. And the name of the bus is Salubona. And Salubona means we see you, we hear you, I see you, I value you, you're important to me. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. I see you, I value you, you are important to me.